Welcome to the 2024 Economic Preparation Channel. I'm your host, Tony. Thank you for joining me on this weekday edition. Once again, listen, this economy continues to provide signs of both mixed signals, signs of good recovery and signs of bad recovery. And CNN Business reported earlier this week, or today on Sunday, June 16th, that America's top central banker says the job market, quote, is back to normal. Is that right? There isn't any indications from the Federal Reserve that the job market is back to normal, that this economy is back to normal. We're still in austerity measures type of system here that's been updated, because we have to remember it's not just the stimulus checks that were passed, but there was also the repo situation with the banks. Some of these smaller and regional banks, as you remember, 3 or 4 banks like Signature Bank failed. Some of these other banks are having trouble. So liquidity stops were provided all around by the Federal Reserve, and so we have to remember that too as well. So, but anyway, they're saying in this article that Fed chief said the job market has come to a better balance over the past few years. We had near zero interest rates for the last 12 years, and this has basically caused this economy to have overheat in terms of how much borrowing was provided per consumer, per commercial account, per whatever was going on. Unemployment continues to rise, as you know. It's true today that the U.S. job market is running, quote, at a slower pace than it did in the immediate aftermath of the pandemic. So we know that's the case. But the job market here is taking people longer to find high quality, high paying jobs, jobs making over 100K per year in any quadrant, any sector of the U.S. West, whether in the West, the Midwest, Northeast, Southeast, So that's the problem here. The job market may be strong, but they're mostly made up of part-time jobs and jobs that you have to have 2 jobs to make those 40 hours or more per week meet, to make ends meet. Or you have to do some type of gig economy job, just to make ends meet. So that's the danger of saying that there's a good economy. This economy's in flux. It's in situation. Like many of my subscribers believe that we're going to go into an automation thing where they're just going to phase out everybody and give us UBI, universal basic income, and everything else is going to be covered by robots, where they don't have to pay benefits, no pension, no, whatever, no grievances. They don't have to worry about all of that. And this is what we're seeing starting to happen, trickle down. Restaurants are closing. Interest rates are high. The good news, like I said, the good news is that this economy is still going good, going strong in terms of nothing is shut down major. We're still getting supplies and stuff like that through the shipping channels. The shipping channel is going to be repaired in Baltimore. Long Beach, California shipping channel strike is over. They hadn't shut down. Train strikes are over. So, things are moving pretty good. And also, consumer subscription stocks, Q1 earnings, Yahoo Finance, Roku firing on all cylinders. Once again, people are using Roku and they're using other avenues to get around this high cable bill and high utilities costs that they're experiencing. And so where are you cutting back at? Let me know. Do you have a Roku? Do you have an Amazon Fire TV stick to get around these high cable bills? If you have multiple TVs in multiple rooms, it's sometimes in excess of $300. Sometimes if you have all these special channels and everything. Are you going to Roku? Are you going to Duolingo services? Are you going to other subscription services? And what subscription services are you cutting out? Are you cutting out the Netflix? Are you cutting out the subscription service maybe for coffee at Starbucks every year, or whatever subscription service you may have? Let me know how you're dealing with this, because the bottom line is this debt, $34 trillion and growing debt that we have, is not going away anytime soon. Now, many people are hoping for a debt jubilee. A debt of this nature is just not going to happen. They're not just going to write it off like student loans, or some of the people that got student loan debt relief, or like our tax debt relief. This is not that kind of debt. This is $103,000 per person for every single person in America. And we have to remember that this debt includes derivatives, bonds and all kind of things like that. And it's not just going to go away. And so we have to understand that this debt that we see over time is just growing. And then we still have this infrastructure that we have to repair here. How are we going to repair the infrastructure in America? Keep it from becoming below standard versus the rest of the world, and at the same time service the 350 million people, 360 million people that we have here, citizens that we have here, and keep them at a decent standard of living in the next 10 years. It's just going to be tough. The good news is we have time. I believe, we don't know when this whole economy is just going to crash. And remember, the stock market is not the whole economy. People think, okay, the stock market crashed, that's the whole economy. It's not. The economy is the goods and services, the manufacturing, the human production is still needed in all of this, regardless. And so that's what we have to look at, ladies and gentlemen, as we continue to see this slowdown. We're not yet officially in a recession. That's great news. news. Okay, we're doing good, but like I said, things could change at the drop of a dime. People say, "Oh, nothing will happen," and look, lo and behold, with the whole health pandemic, they had to pass stimulus checks and try to get this economy going again. So anything can happen at any given day. Never say never. That's a James Bond theme, as you know. Never say never. Anything can happen. So just prepare. As demographics shift, like I said, we're getting huge retirement populations coming in by the baby boomers. They're going to be drawing off the system. And also rising healthcare costs. I mean, all this is going to break. Everybody knows that medical debt is huge. People think just because you have insurance, they pay for everything. It doesn't cover everything, and it's huge. You get these bills, $20,000-$30,000 bills in the mail. It can ruin your credit. It can ruin everything. It's just a huge burden for a lot of people in the system here, and our healthcare costs are way higher than the average in any of the European states. As you can see here, it's $12,500 per person, whereas in other states like Italy, Japan, United Kingdom, it's way cheaper with universal health care, obviously. But this is what we're dealing with. And then inadequate revenues. Our tax system is not generating enough revenues to cover this amount of people and this amount of goods and services, not just in the major cities like Chicago, DC, New York, LA, and Houston, but also in the little cities. They're just not generating enough taxes, property taxes, whatever kind of taxes, and it's just not going to be the case. But they're going to continue to raise taxes because they think that that's how the government makes money. That's all the governments, local, state, federal, national. That's how they make money. So we have to look at that. So either the consumer has to cut their spending and make sacrifices. Usually that's been the case the last 100 years of America's existence, and government spending continues to grow and grow and grow. They don't have to worry about making cuts, unfortunately. But that's going to cause the country to go into a slowdown. That's what we've been saying. That's what you've been saying as my followers, and that's what all of us have been saying, learning together. As we can see, as unemployment rises, wages are not going to be able to keep up with this inflation once it really gets going. It hadn't runaway inflation yet. That's the good news. That's the great news. But if they start doing these cuts based on pressures for people who are trying to make money in the stock market, that's going to be hard. So thank you for joining me. I'll see you in the next episode. Talk to you soon.